an interesting world, isn't it? At the minute. Yeah. So this is the news according to Assange. The stuff that memes are made from. Former Soviet Union women's volleyball team ski spiker Sonia Drakakovic was found with 100 pounds of Colombian coke strapped under her teats, upper thighs and under her coat. A good few upper arse, also with an investigation pending her nether regions, known in certain claims as vagina, said some yahoo at the 44 bus stop in Newry, Northern Ireland. Reports from sources in WikiLeaks suggest WikiLeaks Assange was once a member of dissident Republican group located in South Armagh, the surreal IRA. Mossad has rejected claims that they rejected the claims, claiming, what the fuck are you talking about? Gunshots were heard coming from behind the fire mountain as two to the hit Bible belters came to reclaim their shit in another war to end all wars. One of the boys said to one of the lads playing football on the PlayStation before the five-a-side football match in the sports centre that evening, before the big football match on Sky Television further on into the night. What the fuck are you on about, one lad said. It's fucking true, it was in the paper and on teletext last night. You're a lube. Your ma's a lube. Your dad's your ma. Your ma's your dad. Your ma's dad was your great uncle's granny. And so it went on in this dialectical manner for hours, until one capitulated and handed over their best conquer. Reports that night were mostly snow and shopping centres. No mention of Mossad or Julian Assange, someone said whilst waiting in the queue to be a contestant on X Factor. X Factor expert panel judge Noel Fuckface has commented on these comments in the comment section of a YouTube, showing him hump some boy band boys whilst wearing nappies. No one reads the comments. Sources close to certain things claim bad boy Charlie Sheen, former star of hit US sitcom 2.5 Men, has WikiLeaks comments posted on his Twitter poke page how appalled he was by Simon Cowell's behaviour, but did admit humping the wee fat kid on the show whilst getting wet on PCP. By all accounts, it was one of the bitterest of winters. The newscast played clips from other bitter winters such as 1983, or some date made of numbers like the global financial crisis, where no one left the house in fear they would miss their dole check, gently pushed in through the letterbox by Her Royal Majesty's postman Pat, whose only way of delivering letters was to wear tennis rackets on his feet, which drew much slagging from the local hoons, who just hung on corners, did drugs and sniffed glue and waited for people to hoon on before going home to their mother and a nice warm dinner. Pro-Kennex has signed a deal to supply graphite rackets to the value of 6 billion equity bonds, so as to be sure all Christmas cards get to their loved ones. Rafael Federer and Roger Nadal, who will use Gillette, have not yet commented, although there seems to be no reason why they would have. Most recent reports by Minister for Changing Things Rami Shaker Doudou suggest that the defranchising of Gaddafi fried chicken outlets in Libya and surrounding areas is going swimmingly. Hopes are to replace all existing outlets with a more up-to-date in line with the times theme. The slogan chanted in the halls of NATO were, "Replace your old Gaddafi with a couple of new Gaddafis." These outlets being built to create a solid base to build on the platforms previously built for the previous solid base, according to Andrew Bolt, Philip Adams, and that horrible wee bald smiling man with the glasses on the 7 show in the morning, under the caution. It was a full moon coming up to Christmas. The streets were white like in those toys you shake, that was being held up and shaken by a man who was in turn in one of those toys you shake, being held up and shaken by another man who was in turn inside one of those toys you shake, being held up by a woman who was shaking it, who was in turn being held up and shaken by another inside the Christmas toy, who was being held up by another man who was sitting on the back of a turtle that was on top of another turtle infinitely. The village all the time seemed calm to the external eye, but those exposed to WikiLeaks knew there was a mass psychosis. The experiment is going well, number 1 scientist said to number 2 scientist standing in an air-conditioned room somewhere near Texas watching live from the Google cameras. At this rate they'll be all fucked in the ear, scientist 2 said to scientist 1 and laughed like 50 magic mushrooms. The door was smashed in and there stood Assange, AK-47 and bazooka hanging like gold crucifix on a Colombian drug dealer in Scarface. And he sprayed the two men in lab coats and ran to the nearest internet cafe, which also served as a laundrette, and twittered his WikiLeaks to let them know what was going on before getting on his sleigh and heading straight to Lapland, where he was to become Jesus for Christmas and give all the poor little sprogs presents. Such was the benevolence of the great Santa Claus. Info leaker to the people. Mass confusion continued as the kings of Leon announced they were anti-Semitic and couldn't bear it another minute, travelling to Palestine for a benefit concert on the Gaza Bank. The concert had 500 million hits on their WikiFaces Facebook station, although no one from the actual area could attend the concert because they had no money for food or doctors. But Kings of Leon only took MasterCard, without worrying that Leon went from strength to strength, playing in arenas full of new wave Nazis, especially popular in Nordic areas. Later reports suggest that Julian Assange was their manager and they were indeed just a fake band, a la Minis Vanilli in the spirit of Orson fucking Wales, F for fake in the Freudwellian brave new 1984 world. Meanwhile, in the Saturday Age literary section, another poem was published in the section exclusively for people with knowledge of poems. The main obvious inspiration for the poem, The Fountainhead by Ayn Rand, some late New Yorker pieces by John Ashbery, Borgian Allegory, and Joseph Campbell's paradigm-shifting, genre-spanning, historically universal hero juxtaposed against the present and ongoing wars in the Middle East and Africa, and an empty wet bag of crisps that was trying to force its way into a grating on the Ballarat Road a couple of Friday evenings ago. Every poet who knew the poet that wrote the poem was moved to the point of tears, saying to their poet friends it was an emotional experience. But it did receive some criticism amongst the members of the Melbourne Poetry Society for its impetus on the I and self, disregarding almost totally the other, and the fact that it prescribed to what used to be avant-garde and had instead become sorely tired and tried and got lost up its own arsehole. As one man from Sandringham has reportedly said to his wife at 10:30 on Saturday night, "Agnes, come have a look at this shit. Is it any wonder no one reads poetry?" Finally they defrosted Gaddafi and brought him to trial, and someone removed his face mask to reveal the head of former dictator, warmonger and laissez-faire capitalist icon Margaret Thatcher, who, when it became clear her cover was busted, pleaded madness which no one could deny. Wars were continuing indiscriminately for metals and for things to drive machines to help get the metals in the region, with Syria's regime next to feel the full force of the BBC newscasts. Reporters fat shittily and shit fatly were fussed in many scenes, giving critique on shit flatly. "Oh, it's not very good, is it?" they were known to say. Attitudes began to change in the people of the Wild West, and they began to quote Marx. Not Groucho or Howard Marks, the international drug smuggler. The protesters in V for Vendetta masks were to be seen asking other people in V for Vendetta masks what it all meant. And if there was an actual case for the banning of the use of all pop culture iconography in the war against the unseen things that control the system, where the hell are we going, Jerry? June was said to have asked. "We're going to a lovely holiday place of leisure and pleasure, June. But it seems like we've been on this train forever, Jerry." "Don't worry, June. It's the journey, not the destination," Jerry said, and winked at her over his massive newspaper. "Oh, Jerry, you always say that," June smiled back and continued with her Sudoku puzzle. A couple of carriages up Samuel Beckett was surrounded by experts who were laughing at him, rock back and forth, saying, "What is the word? What is the word? What is the word? What is the word? He's so funny, isn't he?" the first expert said to the second expert, who said without a doubt to the third expert, and there was no doubt. The doubt, a reasonable doubt, as it had become known, was then the greatest of all attributes. Without reason there could be no doubt about doubt, and that the doubt itself was reasonable. To doubt everything became the most reasonable thing to those that were once certain that there were some really bad assholes who did not care about many, just mostly themselves, and that others just trying to get along and make their way, avoiding the other assholes.